would be dementia.
Body.
Yeah.
Rock your body.
Okay, y'all, I'm too tired for y'all's antics.
Everybody.
And that's gonna occur.
Rock your body right.
Wow. HalfKocked back. Alright! What's up, motherfuckers? We're back.
Thank you.
How y'all doing? We just got out of an early screening of Deepwater Horizon, the Mark Wahlberg movie where he fights fire on a boat.
Yeah.
And that's probably
That's all you need to know.
reductive way to say that, because holy shit is this movie awesome.
Yes, this was a very intense movie. It's directed by Peter Berg, who directed Lone Survivor, another Mark Wahlberg movie, based on a true story about the BP oil spill, which I'm sure you saw in the news, but this movie is really about the guys who were on the oil rig. And so you got Mark Wahlberg, you got Kurt Russell, you got my best friend Dylan O'Brien, love you buddy, you got John Malkovich, and the girl
Gina
from,
Rodriguez.
yeah, from Jane the Virgin.
Oh, that's her!
Yeah.
Shit, I knew I recognized her as soon as I saw her. I felt bad, I thought she was Michelle Rodriguez.
That's because you're racist.
Fuck off, I can be racist against my own people, I guess. This is a movie about drilling for oil, and immediately I thought of Armageddon by Michael Bay.
I was thinking about Armageddon as well. This movie probably would have been better if Bruce Willis was in it somehow. This movie was very intense.
All the explosions. I felt, though, that this is what Michael Bay should be.
I thought about Michael Bay a lot during this movie.
I thought it reminded me a little bit of 13 Hours, but this was a lot tighter than 13 Hours. 13 Hours is a little too long in my opinion. I still really like 13 Hours. It's sort of the same idea, how it's like breaks down sort of this tragedy, but it's about like the heroism.
Kind of gives a human aspect to it.
The guys that were like are the heroes of the story. They aren't like affiliated with BP. It's like they were the ones who were trying to do all like the safety precautions and everything. But then fucking John Malkovich comes in. He's like,
John Malkovich is a Bond villain in this movie, and it's awesome.
Before we go any further, spoiler alert, especially since this is an early review, though I mean, it's a true story, so...
Enough of this is dramatized that I think some spoilers are warranted.
Okay, yeah, so if you don't want to get spoiled, click on the time code right here. It'll take you to our wrap-up and scores out of 6 stars. But if you have seen the movie, then just keep watching.
Just stick around. Mark Wahlberg's playing Mike Williams, who is an electrical tech engineer on this oil tanker.
He's a Mark Wahlberg type of character.
He's a Mark Wahlberg character. He's the everyman who has a smoking hot Kate Hudson with a southern accent that I found weirdly hot.
They have a daughter.
They have a daughter who, weirdly enough, knows about reproduction and totally wants a brother.
Yeah, she's like, I hope you guys are boning because I want a baby brother. That's like,
that was so weird. Her only characterization is that she's doing a project on her dad's job and that she really wants a baby brother. And so I can only
she wants
imagine.
A dinosaur tooth.
And she wants a fossil, but for the project. So either way, it's project and baby brother. And I can only imagine this little girl who's maybe like 9 or 10 years old is just like leaning against the door of her parents' room, just listening for box spring noises.
That's probably how Mark Wahlberg raises his actual kids. Because I saw like a video of him with his kids once, and he was like cursing at them and stuff.
Jesus.
And it made me laugh. I love Mark Wahlberg.
At them?
Yeah.
Or like with them.
I don't even remember.
God damn.
There's a difference.
Mark Wahlberg seems like such a cool dad.
You gonna eat the broccoli? I'm gonna whip your ass! Broccoli! Whipping!
More like, come on guys, just eat your broccoli, guys. What, you're not eating it? What?
Ooh.
What? No.
That's actually really scary, that Mark Wahlberg can go from happening to intense as fuck.
Yeah, to like Departed, like fucking firefighter.
He's just like screaming at motherfuckers throughout this movie at the top of his lungs, which is warranted. But Mark Wahlberg's a fantastic actor, bringing out nuance,
I think,
and charisma in a character that honestly doesn't need any of it.
Right, you're just supposed to like kind of just relate to him. You just need him to be like the everyman, which he does. But I think that like this is one of his most vulnerable performances like ever. Like when he breaks down at the end of the movie, like that got to me. Like that was
I won't lie, I kind of teared up during that bit.
Yeah, that was a.
I could hear you.
Oh.
I could hear like a little squeak from my
to,
left.
I tried to like hide my sniffle.
It reminded me a lot of Lone Survivor, which I think is a masterpiece. It's, you know, also from Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg.
Has Peter Berg done anything else besides Lone Survivor? And
tried doing like some bigger blockbusters. Like I know he did Battleship, and he did The Kingdom with Jamie Foxx. But I think he really wants to tell stories about like real life heroes. Like he said he's not.
That.
He said he doesn't want to do like comic book movies or anything because his focus is on like real people and real heroism, and that's what he did with Lone Survivor, and that's what he did with this. And I think he did a fantastic job.
What this feels like is, in newspaper writing, you have hard news and then you have features. And features basically take the raw material and form it into a narrative, a story. They give stories a human face. And Peter Berg is fantastic. If Lone Survivor showed that Peter Berg can be a really good director, Deepwater Horizon shows that Peter Berg is a great director.
Did you like this more than Lone Survivor?
Oh, God.
I personally,
I couldn't tell you.
I personally,
I think it's too early for me.
I think I prefer Lone Survivor. Like, this movie I thought this movie was really good. Lone Survivor, though, like, that movie just, I don't know, something about it just, like, hit me.
Was it the subject material?
It wasn't even the subject material. It was just the way it was shot, the way he set up his action set pieces. It was just, it's different. Like, because that Lone Survivor is sort of this contained set piece, whereas this is this huge, massive stuff, but there's so much going on.
For what this movie does right, which is hearkening back to what I think about Michael Bay films explosions with extravagance, but you never feel the weight of the explosions.
Right.
So props, by the way, to my pick for Oscar nomination for sound editing and mixing. Whoever those guys are, they sold the weight of every explosion.
Absolutely.
Every tiny bit of glass whizzing by you.
Oh, yeah.
The weight of those girders smashing into concrete. It got to me. This is what hell feels like.
Right.
They call it, the oil well from hell, but no, this is an inferno. One of its hindrances is that for a good chunk of the movie, you are seeing fire after smoke, and after a while, the effect dulls, not a lot, but a little.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Lone Survivor, I felt, was a little bit more varied, in you had more time with the guys, you had those quick bursts of firefight, but that was also a slower kind of movie.
Yeah, and I'll also say that in the same way as Lone Survivor, I know we're comparing it to lots of phones. It's a Lone Survivor.
It's his past movie.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last movie.
In both movies, they kind of examine like the moral sort of debate regarding it. Like in Lone Survivor, it was whether or not they were going to kill those two kids.
Yeah.
And this whole idea about the BP. And this, I mean, it's a fairly political movie. It shows does not show a favorable light of BP. John Malkovich is one of the douchey heads of BP. So when he comes down, he's telling them to sort of speed through their safety precautions and stuff. And if you've seen The Martian, that's not going to work out. And that's actually what it reminded me of when I saw it.
Yeah.
And so obviously shit goes down, and just the way that they characterized just like the business aspect of how John Malkovich was willing to cut corners for safety and stuff, I thought that was pretty interesting.
That goes into one of my problems with this, where I think this movie works best the more human it gets. The closer it gets to the actual stories, little vignettes of things that ordinary people do to help save each other. Like, there's one point where there are a bunch of guys trying to get onto a lifeboat, and the crane is bumping against this oil derrick, and if it continues to do so, the derrick's gonna break and fall on top of those guys. And so the crane operator decides to run up to the crane and hold it steady so the guys can get onto the lifeboat. Little moments like that, little moments like Mark Wahlberg running back and trying to... This reminded me of Hacksaw Ridge, that trailer. He's like,
help me get one more.
Please, Lord, help me get one more. The closer I felt this stuck to its disaster movie boiler thriller roots, it works. But once it starts borrowing stuff from... Half of the time it felt like Frank Capra was directing a Michael Bay movie, because
I was
this
actually
is
thinking
warning
about Frank Capra.
Yeah, this is warning about the evils of corporate businessmen that don't understand. Whenever the shit goes down, you see John Malkovich just with this big ol'... Keep in mind, his entire uniform is dirty and filthy and blood covered, but that BP symbol, you gotta make sure he's the...
Can we just talk about...
Ooh, BP, how dare you!
How great John Malkovich is at being a dick in this movie. Like, he's so fun to hate.
He picked the most punchable Louisiana accent.
It's like the Nicolas Cage accent from Con Air.
Yeah. He's just like scowling and constantly scheming. He's looking at it's the fat guy from Remember the Titans, the one that almost couldn't graduate high school. He's back in this movie in a bit role, but goddamn, I love that actor. I wish I'd seen him in more things.
Yeah.
Putting his name here because that dude's fucking badass and I love him.
You want to talk about Kurt Russell?
Yeah, no, we got to talk about Kurt Russell because Kurt Russell is Kurt Russell-iest.
Kurt Russell is making quite of a comeback lately. It had Hateful Eight last year. Deepwater Horizon this year is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 2 next year as Star-Lord's dad. We cannot wait to see that. But he was really good in this movie. Like, I've always liked Kurt Russell. I mean, I grew up watching his movies. Like, I grew up watching, you know,
Big Trouble in Little China, The Thing,
Escape from New York. It was great because he was sort of this guy he was obviously really respected by all the other workers, and it wasn't necessarily because he was their leader or because he was older. It was because he earned that respect, and you saw that.
Again, that's another thing that Frank Capra harkens back to. Yeah. It's the spirit of the working man. You work through the ranks, you earn everything you get, and sure, the system might be corrupt, but the ideal is not. Mm-hmm. And so that's a theme that constantly repeats. And when it's done with Kurt Russell, who's one of the most intense, devoted character actors ever.
Yeah, he was.
This movie reminds you how fucking awesome Kurt Russell is. Yeah. And let's be honest, he's underappreciated.
He is underappreciated. I think people look at him as he's one of those guys that, like, they look at him like a movie star. And yeah, he's a great movie star, but he's also a great actor.
I think people appreciate somebody like Harrison Ford more than they do Kurt Russell, because, you know, Harrison Ford has the big blockbusters, the Indiana Jones and the Star Wars, but Kurt Russell is completely on point in every scene that he's in. Yeah. He takes some brutal punishment. There's a scene where he's taking a shower right before the oil rig pressure builds up and blows up. And when it does, there is mud, debris, and glass that just slams into the man's naked body. For about 85% of this movie, Kurt Russell is bleeding.
Makeup design was great, by the way.
Yeah, shit.
That another shout out to the Oscar for best makeup design.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I hope that gets nominated. Good luck, guys.
You do good.
My best friend, Dylan O'Brien's in this movie.
Why the fuck is Dylan O'Brien your best friend?
Okay, story time. Back a couple years ago,
in the far-off land of 2013.
It's 2014. It's actually 2014. My first writing gig at About.com. I got to interview the cast of The Maze Runner, including Dylan O'Brien, who was super chill. My first celebrity interview, and he talked to me for a while after our interview. He seemed like a really nice guy, so I'm going to support all of his movies from now on because he was a nice guy. And I thought he was really good in this movie. He has sort of a backstory at the beginning. They don't give him all that much to do, but he has more prominence in the second half because he and Wahlberg are basically on screen together a lot, and getting to see their back and forth was, I thought, very interesting.
O'Brien's one of those dudes that I thought was bland at first, but throughout the years he's been given good supporting bit roles.
He's good at doing a lot with not as much material. Look at like Maze Runner, like that's not like a super interesting character role. I remember like when I talked to him, he said like I didn't even really like the character that much, but I think he adds a lot more to that character, and he did a lot with this movie. I mean, this character in this movie was kind of like a throwaway. Like he doesn't
He's just a dude.
Yeah, he's just like this. He's just the younger dude, but he added a lot to the movie, I think. I would have liked to see a few more scenes with him, but I understand that the movie is mostly focused on Kurt Russell and Mark Wahlberg, and I'm completely okay with that.
Because if it were focused really on anybody else, you'd have a headache.
Right.
With how many shots they have of the Inferno and how much chaos is going around, restricting your focus to one or two characters helps you ground yourself. And I thought that was something Berg did well. Grounded the action. For as shaky and as smoke-filled and as dirty as this movie is, his DP and cameramen know when to slow down the movement of the camera to show you something essential without losing the energy, which I thought was something that action movies sorely need.
There's a great emotional moment at the end between Mark Wahlberg and Gina Rodriguez, who I guess we didn't really talk about. She just plays another oil worker. Another
person that can do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
The way she shows shock and sadness and fear and anger.
Like her face.
She has a really expressive face.
That's exactly it. Her face sells you everything. There's a scene where she runs out of the control room and looks at the derrick on fire, and all it takes was a split second of her shocked face to sell every bit of emotion. And whenever she and Wahlberg have to, in the end, jump off a burning oil rig in order to maybe land on not fiery water, there's a scream that she gives that made me for a second question if they were actually on a burning rig or not. Something that I think movies don't address, movies about tragedy and the people that survive them, is survivor's guilt. If we're looking at the very first part of this montage, which maybe lasts about 45 seconds, Peter Berg visualizes survivor's guilt and the trauma that goes through it better than I think American Sniper, better than Bridge of Spies, Sully, any of the recent films.
He touched on this in Lone Survivor as well. Wahlberg's breakdown, like
that's the climax of that little arc.
Yeah.
Because all the survivors of the Horizon at the end are given free stay in a local hotel, and there's this guy that looked like Trace Adkins to me, and he runs up and kind of pins Wahlberg in frustration and despair, yelling, "Where's my son? Do you know blah blah blah? Did he get off okay? Tell me if he got off okay." And he's not taking no for an answer. And just the shots that Peter Berg is using, Mark Wahlberg's stunned face, the guy's gnashing teeth. There's a woman who's passing by Wahlberg asking about her son.
Yeah.
And again, the sound design mixed with a little shake in the camera and quick cuts to him just collapsing, breaking down in his shower and on the floor sobbing. It sold me. If y'all clicked on the time code, welcome back. We've been talking about Deepwater Horizon for a little bit, but now here come our final thoughts and our scores out of 6 stars. So obviously, I'm gonna start with the person that said jack shit. Brittany!
I have nothing to say. I'm so tired.
Say it! Say my name.
Oh, you spit on my knee. One of y'all spit on my knee.
That was Dan.
Tell the truth.
I liked it. I thought it put a really nice humanistic twist on a story that you don't really see the behind the scenes of. I'd give it a 5.
Really liked this movie. Thought Wahlberg was great. Thought Peter Berg's direction was great. Last 5 minutes were extremely emotional. Very great special effects. Sound design, I'm going to give it a 4.5.
There are points of this movie where it gets a little too Frank Capra-y for my taste, a little cheesy, a bit hackneyed, especially when they're talking about the big bad corporate businessman.
Yeah, I would have gone a 5, but some of that stuff kind of took it down just a little bit.
Really? Did it take it down? It didn't take it down for me, because I think the action, I think the intensity of the movie completely sells it. I'm recommending IMAX. I'm recommending the big old sound system. I'm recommending the largest screen. This is powerful. Oh yeah, there's huge epilepsy warning. Near the middle of the movie, it's where Mark Wahlberg is waking up after the first initial debris, and there's this scene about 2 minutes that's constant flashing lights. It's a really well shot scene, but epilepsy warning, because that does get
I'm not even epileptic.
bothersome.
That gave me a headache.
I think this is the fall's first great movie. So I'm easily gonna go 5 out of 6. This is an awesome fucking flick, and you need to check it out because it's way better than half the shit that passes for summer blockbusters nowadays.
So we have a HK verdict, 4.83.
Woo!
So definitely a strong recommendation from all of us.
We're shooting this on, what day is today?
Today's Thursday, so this comes out next Thursday.
That's right. Next Thursday, the 29th, Deepwater Horizon hits theaters. If you've, see it. If you've got large screen theaters next to you, chill the fuck out. But if you don't pull a Hillary, man. Anyway, we're gonna be back later this week. We already saw an early screening of Magnificent Seven.
Woo!
But I wanted to watch it with the guys, so we're gonna watch that movie with the rest of the crew, Barnyard, Matt, Aaron, etc. I'm definitely gonna try to see Storks. I really want to see Storks. I've heard good shit about it.
I don't give a shit about Storks.
And he and I are going later, I think this Sunday, to go see GOAT, that college hazing thriller. We're getting into the good part of the year, the Oscar-y stuff. I think opposite Deepwater Horizon, Miss Peregrine's Place for...
Home for Peculiar Children.
I swear to God, I was about to say homeless children. We're not going to keep y'all up too much longer. Thank y'all very much for watching. I'm going to keep Brittany up as long as I can just to spite her. But... yeah, your hand's sweaty. What the fuck? Thank y'all if you watched this video. Please hit the like button down below. Also below is the subscribe button, where you can be the first to find out about new content. HalfKocked. We've got Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. Please follow and like and worship us on those.
My blog is down below if you want to read more movie reviews. I try to review every movie I see, so there's gonna be some stuff that we don't cover here that's gonna be on there.
Sweet. I feel like we're missing something.
Stop.
Hammer time? Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some liquor in it, and sign the check. Julio, get the stretch.
Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up.